Hello and welcome to the Paris Fintech Forum Communities Programme. I'm Elliot Gotkin. I'm a journalist and, with Laurent Nisri, co-host of this exclusive video interview series produced with the support of Solarisbank, Rise and BPI France. Now, up until the global financial crisis, there were precious few new entrants into the world of banking. Regulators, costs, technology, and complexity made setting up a new bank more trouble than it was worth. Today, it's relatively simple. In a large part, that's thanks to banking as a service pioneer Solarisbank, whose technology sits behind many neobanks. The company's CEO is Roland Folz, and I'm delighted to have the chance to speak with him today. Roland, great to see you over there. Where exactly are you? It looks beautiful.
Well, I'm very fortunate. I'm actually in Arizona right now.
Okay. And how are things in Arizona?
Beautiful. 20 degrees, sunshine. Obviously a bit painful when you work with Europe, 8 hours time shift, but it's perfect.
Amazing that in this day and age you can run a company from the other side of the world, and I guess we'll be seeing more of that across various industries. Now, Solarisbank isn't a household name in the way that perhaps some of your clients are. Other neobanks such as Revolut or Starling or what have you. But you are the power behind many neobanks. Tell us a bit more about how Solarisbank works with them and other financial institutions.
Well, Solarisbank, I think it's very simple. We offer a B2B2X business model. So we have our products which sit on a tech stack that is via APIs available to any partner that would like to include financial solutions within their offering. It centers around the account because we view that the account is the anchor point for a lot of products and services that can be included then in the offerings of our partner. And I think that's the unique approach that Solaris is using.
And what kind of traction have you been getting since you came into being?
Well, we're 5 years old, and it has been a tough journey. It's like with every startup, it starts slow, but we're now at about more than 1 million accounts, which we administrate for our partners. I think the financials we have also we're quite transparent about those. We have generated 35 million of net revenues last year, which is almost a doubling versus 2019. So the impact of our partners for the Solaris platform is really strong, and the momentum that we are generating is really positive.
And I think one of the biggest names you've joined up with is not a traditional bank, and I guess that's part of the point of perhaps where the world is going with embedded finance and the like. Samsung has a bank which is powered by you. Is that a kind of a game changer for Solaris and perhaps for big tech in general?
It could be, but I think the variety of the more than 70 partners that we have at Solaris, and we don't count anymore because it's as you say, it's more about quality than about quantity, and the quality partner that Samsung can be a game changer, but it doesn't have to be. I think all our partners in general, overall, really impact the tremendous growth, and there's others like Vivid, like Tomorrow, like Penta, Contest, Trade Republic, and they all contribute to the platform and benefit from all the economies of scale, benefit from the product development that we're doing. But obviously, then it allows them to do something like Samsung has been doing, i.e., they could be one of the largest neobanks across Europe.
Right, and who are you actually competing with in this space? Is it just those that choose to build versus buying from you? Because you're not, as we can see with Samsung, you're not just for non-banks.
That's right. I think in general, there's probably in continental Europe a handful of partners that we compete with. Obviously, Wirecard used to be one strong competitor, and they have disappeared. Fidor has disappeared, and there's a couple in France, a couple in the UK. But I would say in general, Solarisbank is probably the go-to platform because we have a European banking license based out of one of the most regulated and therefore probably most solid markets, i.e. Germany. And with that banking license, we can pretty much empower any type of product and services across continental Europe.
Right, and you've raised money so far from the likes of BBVA and ABN AMRO. Do you have more fundraising plans, more strategic partnerships in the offing? Are you perhaps thinking of an IPO, maybe going public via a SPAC?
We finished our C round last year with another 60 million euros, and that midst in COVID times, I think is a clear sign of strength for Solaris. But as you know, the markets are really strong right now, so obviously it is an opportunity to get additional money in, which would allow us to accelerate our growth, and we're looking at that right now. So if the markets continue to be as strong as they are, I wouldn't be surprised if we look at another round in 2021.
Right, and I mean, a lot of the people we speak to on the PFF, communities program are founders, but you joined Solaris from Deutsche Bank, if I'm not mistaken. I guess the contrast between the two couldn't be starker. How have you found the change?
Well, for me, it was kind of a coming home because I've been working in the entrepreneurial space at the beginning of my career when I was running Direktanlagebank, the first discount broker in Germany, and we listed it on the stock exchange in 1999, expanded into France and other European markets. So part of the team actually that was part of Solaris was part of the DAB team, and they basically asked me, Roland, would you like to come and join us for CEO? So it wasn't a strange or new endeavor for me. It was more like a coming home.
And Solarisbank is actually the product of another fintech success story in the form of FinLeap, which is a kind of fintech building studio. Can you tell us how you kind of managed to navigate these kind of two worlds at the same time, being part of the FinLeap studio and being Solarisbank, and how do you make the most of it to make Solarisbank a success?
FinLeap has been very helpful from the very beginning of the launch of Solaris. We have a very close cooperation when it comes to people topics or idea generation, innovation, and they have some other companies in their portfolio which we support. For example, Penta, or we work close with Fintech Systems. Sorry, with FinLeap Connect and Fintech Systems. But it's for me, it has been actually quite important that we diversify our shareholder base. And FinLeap is with more than 25% the largest shareholder, but we have a very strong base. That is, you mentioned BBVA as one of them, ABN AMRO, SBI. They joined earlier in the earlier rounds. In recent rounds, it has been Vulcan and Holzbrink Ventures. We have Yabeo from Munich and Lakestar. So it's actually for me as CEO, it's a bit of work because all of those stakeholders require attention, and you need to educate them and bring them with you on the journey. But I think in general, it's a very, very strong shareholder base, and they are all very committed. We had losses of 20 million last year. We had 20 million of losses the year before, and we plan another 20 million this year. And that would not be possible unless you have shareholders that support you. They have a very clear vision about building the platform of banking as a service in Europe, and they provide the financial means in order to achieve that.
And so you've worked obviously in mainstream banking, let's call it, in the form of Deutsche Bank. You're working in a banking startup. You obviously work with FinLeap, which is a kind of incubator or a studio for building fintechs. Of your experiences in banking and finance, what would you say are your proudest moments and perhaps the ones that you might rather forget?
I would say running Solaris as CEO clearly is a highlight. It's been tough. I haven't had as many sleepless nights as in the last 4 years. Building a company from scratch is tough. Now expanding into continental Europe is tough, but it's very rewarding because the impact that you're giving, you see that immediately in direct results. In the large organizations, it's obviously much more difficult to have the impact, and the dependency on the CEO and on the chairman of the board is very high. And for me, I was at a point where I said I've been CEO of Mercedes-Benz Bank, of Direktanlagebank, within the Deutsche Telekom empire. I run organizations. So to me, it was very important to be CEO again and have that direct impact to shape an organization, the strategy, and the success.
And you conspicuously missed out the worst moments there. Perhaps there's something that enabled you to, make sure that the next time such a situation came around, things went better?
Um, Look, I think it's a journey, and part of the journey is failure. And as long as you learn out of it, it's perfectly fine. I think there's always moments where, in retrospective, you think maybe I should have taken a different decision, but it's all water under the bridge, and therefore that doesn't matter. But I think I'm slightly above 50 years old, so I do benefit from those experiences, and I do try to navigate and educate as much as possible, help the senior management of Solaris to grow and develop. I think we have one of the best teams in the fintech industry. I've pretty much handpicked and chosen most of these colleagues, and they are doing great. And without them, obviously the team is all that matters.
Right. Well, don't go away, Roland, and don't go away, you, the audience, because we're going to take a very quick break, after which we're going to continue our conversation with Roland Folz, CEO of Solarisbank. Welcome back. Now, don't forget, if you're not already a full member of our community, everything you need to join can be found at www.parisfintechforum.com. And now, Roland, I've got a few more questions for you. So why don't we kind of take a deeper dive into the ecosystem in your space? We're talking a lot about banking as a service. Solarisbank really seems to be the embodiment of open banking and embedded finance. From various expert discussions that we've had over the years, are we now at a kind of mass market deployment stage? And what other innovations can we expect to flow from this?
I would say it's a gradual evolvement. There is no trigger point that suddenly the whole world will change. It all starts small, but then it becomes bigger and bigger. And as time kicks in, it obviously makes an impact and a big change. I would say for us, contextual finance or embedded finance is something that it has started, many years ago with the automotive companies that put a financial solution next to a car and sold it via a monthly rate. Now you see that the lot sizes are getting smaller and smaller. The innovation gets widespread into all different industries, and therefore the platform type approach that Solaris is enabling is seen in more and more different industries. And clearly, our objective is very simple. We want to have the best platform across Europe, which means that it has to be the financially most attractive service has to be top, and the quality of the product has to be outstanding. And that across Europe, I think will allow a tremendous amount of innovation.
Right, and we seem to be seeing crazier and crazier valuations in the fintech space every day, even despite of, or perhaps because of the pandemic. When the dust settles, which verticals or actors do you think are going to come out on top, and which ones perhaps will we perhaps never see from again?
I would say right now there is a window of opportunity for the champions in the different classes, and that's why when we touched earlier upon a possible financing round, I think it's a good opportunity having the market so strong to tap into them again and make sure that you're then financially strong to possibly be part of the consolidation of the industry. Because, like you say, maybe some partners will not have the stamina to succeed in the long term, and Solaris being the largest player, and I think some of the numbers that I have mentioned demonstrate that, I think clearly gives us a tremendous opportunity to grow across Europe, and therefore with those opportunities in funding, I feel that we're extremely well positioned.
You going to perhaps give me a couple of other names in addition to Solarisbank who might come out on top and perhaps might fall by the wayside?
I don't feel privileged to know that, and there's many people that know that much better. Look, you just need to read the newspaper on a daily basis. It's phenomenal, the success that others have achieved, and I love it because I think big footsteps give you an opportunity to make the following easier. So whenever I read about a great financing round, I love it, and I envy these guys, and I try to bring Solaris right there as well.
And of course, one fintech, perhaps closer to home, that obviously didn't do so well is Wirecard. We saw the whole Wirecard scandal over the past few months. Do you think, or do you expect regulators are going to be tougher on B2B actors in fintech going forward as a result of this?
I wouldn't say tougher. I think if I look at Solaris, we have been in very close cooperation with BaFin and Bundesbank, ECB from the day one onwards. I think that's our job. That's my job to make sure that from a regulatory perspective, we're 100% on track. But then also, I can understand that the recent events with Wirecard, that they probably will, to a certain extent, change processes at the regulators as well. But I don't think it's going to be negative at all. I think they're going to be closer, and closeness gives you an opportunity to communicate. And I honestly, I can say I've never had bad experiences as long as you have an open and transparent relationship with the regulator.
Right. Well, on that note, I'm afraid we've actually run out of time. So I really want to thank you, Roland Folz, CEO of Solarisbank, for taking the time to join us today and tell us a bit about your story and to share your insights. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Elliot, and good luck for the rest of the conference.
Thank you. And I'll be back next week with another big name from the world of finance and technology. And so we hope that everyone watching will join us again then. In the meantime, you can keep up to date with all the exclusive interviews and content from the Paris FinTech Forum Communities Program via the website www.parisfintechforum.com. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.